forgotten as I slide through time. These sides can move through all dimensions. These sides can move through all dimensions.
Hi there, I'm Matt. I'm going to take you through the session of my new project Dimensioneers and their debut single Sock Game, and give you an insight into my working methods and a bit of history of the song. So Dimensioneers is a new project of mine, but it's a kind of a continuation of my former project, Fang Jr., which was a psychedelic pop project that has been kicking around for a bit. So let's have a look at this session here. So I've got this was done in Ableton. We can have a quick look at the session and see that it's kind of quite largish or medium-sized by my standards. There's about 70 tracks there. Some of them are unused, but most of them are. Some didn't make the director's cut. So a little bit about the track. It was started in 2018 when I was living in Rampart Village in Los Angeles. There was a rough demo that kind of kicked around for a while, and I moved back to Melbourne for a time and didn't really revisit the track there. And once I returned to Los Angeles, something about the city and the vibe just reminded me of it. It reminded me of the place I was at when I wrote it, so I decided to revisit it. It's kind of based around a recording of me playing a really crappy acoustic guitar, nylon string. My house at the time had a bunch of instruments that would lay around in the living area, and this is one of them, and I grabbed it one day and was messing around, and I decided I liked what I was coming out with, so I quickly put a Shure Beta 58A held it between my knees and played the guitar, and just roughly got a few things down that I ended up putting in the track. So how the track starts, it starts with the guitar. So we can hear quite a bit of movement, my clothes rustling, me breathing especially, and my noise of me changing along the strings. I could have edited that out, but I kind of thought it kind of added a human element to it. A lot of people have thought that it's a sample, and but I think that kind of little element maybe gives you the impression that it is real played. So it is going through quite a bit of reverb. It is going through the black hole reverb there. If we take that off, so the black hole by Eventide or Eventide, however you want to say it, is one of my favorite reverbs, based on their space pedal. That's it there. Black hole. And I've I scooped a lot of the bottom end out of that thing, because bass into reverbs can get a bit woolly sometimes, great sometimes, but in this particular case it wasn't. So I have this little guitar. Let's have a look. Where is this guitar subgroup? Gits, I've called it. So that is double tracked, the guitars. So the next thing that comes in, we've got these two rhythm guitars. I'm starting to use my own shorthand as verbal slang, which is not really how it goes. So me kind of playing a fifth apart or something, and a lot, just rather than play chords there, I wanted to play kind of single strings and then blend them, because it was really about the pluck and the slap and the ghost notes around that, and it was I was getting a better result doing it that way. So to add to that kind of rhythm driving forward, we have this beat git, which is me tapping my fingers, finger drum style, on the body of the guitar. And so that is, I've taken a lot of the body out of it. And yeah, it is going through this, the Cyclosonic Panner by Softtube, which is part of the UA bundle. Yeah, so that's great. And I've kind of, compressing it hard. Yeah, really kind of scooping it. Yeah, what one was just to cut, and then one was to treat what was there, because there's quite a bit of low-end resonance from tapping on the body, and I just wanted it to be a kind of tap. So then further up we have what is called the one git, which is kind of a kind of more plucked rhythm. Yeah, so once again, a lot of ghost notes there to kind of add to the rhythm. So if we solo that with the main ones, we've got this. So really those guitars as well, they're kind of constant. You can kind of see in the arrangement that they're rolling through a lot, but they are changing. So kind of got this wah effect that comes in at different points. And it was great because it would also take a lot of the high end out of the guitar and instantly leave room for something other element to come in the mix. So then we have the drop. So you're after synth, which I can always forget where it is. Yeah, always forget where this synth is. I think it was the wavetable synth. One thing about this track, it was started while I was beta testing Ableton 10, and I finished it while I was beta testing Ableton 11. So it was also a lot of exploration of the new features in that, what was being released at the time. So we've got the beats, we've got the drop. So let's have a listen to this. So I'll just find the beats group. It's lost in my own session because it's been a while. Drums all. So the drums are quite basic. So we've just got these elements are kind of 4-on-the-4 kick there, a kind of little that offsets it. one thing I've kind of done to mix this all is I'm sending it to, I send a few elements. I always in a session have something I call the dirt bus, where I'm using a lot of distortion or saturation and really compressing that signal and blending it in with the original. So on this little bus here, I have, for this time I'm using the Culture Vulture. See, the drive is cranked way up. I have scooped a lot of the low end and really boosted in that area to get a bit of slap. Just didn't want it to get, you could add a bit too much mud to it. Then I'm running through a distressor and then go back into some more EQing. I think one was a broad stroke and one was a bit more of a fine stroke. So if we're listening, if I now take this out, it's subtle, but it's adding a bit of mid energy to it, and just a bit of extra oomph behind it. If I solo this, you can hear all the there's quite a few elements that I am sending to that the dirt bus. So then what have we got next? So we've got the bass. The bass in this track is, probably its main feature and took the longest to get right. So originally, the bass, I had started it because I was traveling light at the time. I didn't have a hardware synth, and I started with using the Monarch, which is Native Instruments Model D copy, Mini Moog. So here I found that I do have some of the original so that was like part of my original kind of riff. But I didn't use it in that form. I thought that it was a bit too woolly in parts and a bit too not punchy in other bits. So what I ended up doing, I've got this little wobble bit. So I've kind of cut it in a few bits. This one I added some reverb on just because I thought these notes needed to stick out a bit more than the others. Cool. And so one little trick I always do, this is one of my favorite things about Ableton, I kind of miss it if I'm ever using another DAW, is this being able to split the frequency. So essentially I have three just using the EQ3. One of them I've got the everything but the lows, and I've got the mids and the highs. So therefore you can sort of solo and have a listen to just what's happening in those mid frequencies, and you can see here that I eventually abandoned them, but sometimes I'll try I just needed a bit more presence, so I'll try a phaser or sometimes a slapback echo just on the mids and the highs, and so not having it mess with the low energy too much. I think then you can also, it's very good for getting a good impression of how much bass you've got in something when you just listen to those lows. And you can see I've got my own EQ. I'm sidechain. I would say this is a dynamic EQ. That was no, it wasn't. But yeah, so I'm compressing it and treating every element of the bass differently. Cool. So we can get on to what all the other elements of the bass. So I have this group here. So this was the most recent things. I didn't think that the bass had enough body, so at the time I had a Behringer Model D, which is the Mini Moog copy, and a Bass Station 2, and I kind of blended those. I did a couple of passes of the MIDI and tried some different patches and tweaked it, and kind of came up with the group that, just for the real punch and body, which is. So you can see they're all doing different elements. That last one there is about the attack. There's kind of some of them for about the woolly element. There's a kind of thinner, distorted level in there. I've some great sounds out of it. Just the fact of just recording like some real analog things just simply in it just adds somebody that I find it's hard to obtain sometimes, even with the best plugin. I don't have those synths anymore. I just traded them up for this sub 37, so hopefully it's going to do the job and I don't miss them too much. So then I guess if we were just going to listen to the drums and the basses together, we have this. So you can see I've got a subtle bit of, just a tiny bit of dynamic EQ. So the kick is, no, it's the drum. So all of the drums are coming in and in this little clashing frequency range, just they're ducking it just a little bit. And that's how a lot of the track is breathing and sucking like that. There's a lot of that going on. Even the bits of the bass with each other, even bits of the wobble bass, causing frequencies to duck in this kind of more steady fat bass. So then after that, what's the next little thing we've got that comes in? So we have these little vocals here.
The sock game.
So
the sock game.
So all of the vocals, I've got this little sock game vocal bus, which has a bit of Eventide, some micro shift to kind of give it that doubling effect. I am going through reverb into Echo Boy, and then that bus, I guess, I'm EQing my buses all the time, and then it's a kind of go-to thing of mine, just to thicken it up, and I like that really phasey psychedelic kind of sound. So we do have some other percussion elements that come in here. The terrible cultural appropriation named instrument. So I've got this little rhythm that I programmed in the MIDI. And that is also, so it's this little glockenpluck, would have been me exploring the new Ableton instruments at the time, and once again into that panner to just kind of give it some and then I forgot about these. They're in there somewhere, just a little. Yeah, so really getting into the wavetable synth, which was new to Ableton at the time. So then we have some live shakers, which is little egg shakers. They're up there on my shelf. So we have one in the center, it looks like, and where I have panned the other two. That just gives it a bit of the... Okay, so then we've got the lecture. So that was recorded with an iPhone mic up to a speaker. So it was already had some natural distortion. I can't remember what I put it through because
There are many universes. We call it a multiverse. And that at any instant in time, in kind of a cosmic...
yeah, so that is... yeah, that's already been processed, and I've printed it obviously to free up some CPU.
Universe space is expanding faster away from us than light. Nothing can travel through space faster than light, but space can do whatever the hell it wants.
So I've warped that bit. I've stretched out the bit where he's talking about space moving faster. So I just wanted to slow him down and just make something a bit uneasy about that thing. It's kind of funny as well. So what else? So we've got this synth I always forget about. So obviously side chaining off the kick there to give it that ducking and sucking sound. So then we have the breakdown and we have the main vocal.
Self-forgotten as I...
We've also got this pad, which is... It's interesting that a lot of... I'm not one to keep things in MIDI into mixing stage, but sometimes if it's just sounding good and there's not much work to do on it, it kind of can sneak past, and this is one of them. Just... Yeah, it was great. And so where's the main vocal? Yeah.
Self-forgotten as I slide through time.
Yeah, there is some heavy
Self-forgotten.
de-essing going on. I think it was recorded with my favorite mic, which is not for my voice, which is an Audio-Technica 3060. It's a discontinued one, but was that kind of hybrid valve mic, a silver thing, and I'd quite often just hold that in my hand inside a Chaotica eyeball. Yeah, when I'm like on the mobile setup, which I was at the time. Yeah, so it is. Yeah, not too. Yeah, just a bit of that, a bit of grit. This Console One plugin is kind of great. All I ever really use is that drive. And it just adds these extra great kind of harmonics. So then, when we've got the main section here,
These sounds can move through all dimensions. These sounds can move through.
so we have this call and response guitar, which is sort of doubling my vocal melody, and that's here. Now, that it's the same guitar as the same acoustic guitar, but I've got this going through a little guitar rig thing, and without it, it's pretty much ding ding. It's just pretty nothing. Yeah, so it's actually just being slammed and modulated through this yeah, through this guitar rig kind of setup. So some comp. Yeah, I've forgotten. It's been a while since I've got in and worked out what I did there. So yeah, we have that. That kind of section there. The main hook.
These sounds can move through all dimensions. These sounds can move through all dimensions. These sounds can move through.
The vocals are done. I don't think about them too much. I probably didn't even. I think the lyrics are written as I kind of spit things out. It's usually just intended to be a demo, but then it's impossible to recreate that vibe later on. So you see, my recording levels weren't great. There's a lot of leakage. You can hear a lot of movement on the mic and rustling. But yeah, I just to drive it forward and getting it finished. I didn't want to, fuss over them too much. So what else are we going to have here? Other elements. I guess we've probably got the master bus, which I guess I've shown you the. I have a few kind of things. I must have something.
These sounds can move through.
Such a subtle amount going to that other CLA drums, which I think I just probably set in the top elements to.
These sounds can move through. These sounds can move through.
So on my master bus, it's really kind of simple. Once you sort of, I'm using it one good two. I've got ozone here, and it's just tickling, like just a little bit. There's a bit too much in the low end, and I boosted some high. But I'm constantly referencing with this thing, so you can kind of see.
These sounds can move through.
Yeah, and it's good as well as having reference tracks. This gives me a good idea of like if I'm balanced, but also if there's a problem area, if I'm thinking, okay, this really needs a bit more, mids or something. Let's have.
These sounds can move.
I kind of have a listen to that and think, okay, well, it's these elements here. These are the instruments that are playing in that area. I can boost them, and not have to be trying to sculpt things on my master bus that's lacking. I can just get things at the source. So then by the end, everything is kind of in order, and just a lot of dynamic EQs and compression. So you can see it was about -14. This is the pre-master, I believe. Yeah, so this is what the actual session I bounced out this as it is for mastering, and it was mastered. I sent it. This and the next single were mastered together by Adam Dempsey over in Melbourne, and yeah, he's a great mastering engineer. Just one of those people who just knows that sometimes you can just do a little bit or tighten things up. Doesn't want to be the hero and make it sound drastically different. Yeah, so that is the session of Sock Game. There is another single which will be coming out next month, and I'll do another one of these. They'll both kind of start at the same time in the same week. Took a few years as well for me to get around to finishing them. Confidence to having it. So I hope you've enjoyed having a look at my working method. You can see all the things I do wrong and differently to you, but maybe you get some good ideas from it. I will link all the streaming links and everything to the song below. You can have a look at my whacked out lyric video, and give me a follow in all the places. I'm checking out from another dimension. Bye.